Better performance and no interruptions to your internet connection. The dream of all streamers. Last time, we discussed things that you could do before your stream to make the content a little easier to produce. Today, I want to talk about some tech things that you can do to make your stream run a little smoother. First things first, check if anything needs an update. Anything that might mess with your stream during the stream. And depending on what it is, you either want to update it before the stream or after the stream. Now, stuff like your streaming software, XSplit Broadcaster, anything that you are directly using that makes your stream run correctly, like the game or anything like that we mentioned before, update that before you go live. Make sure everything's working, because compatibility issues can come up if you don't update everything. Now, if it's something like a Windows update or a graphics card driver update, yeah, we all know the graphics card driver updates can make everything break after you've updated them. And it generally doesn't take too long for like a Windows update or a graphics card driver update to be fixed. But sometimes the compatibility just breaks a lot of stuff on your computer. You might want to wait till after your stream to update something like that. But generally, do your updates before the stream. Okay, so first of all, make sure that any programs that are open are directly to do with you streaming. Anything else, close that program. Go into the system tray, see all the things that are running, close them if you don't need them. You know Adobe is just waiting to send you a big update that it's going to do while you're streaming. Something I like to do after I've closed a lot of these programs, your virus program, you want to keep it running, but you don't want it running updates, you don't want it running random scans while you're streaming. Pause those as well. Something else you want to do if you're using something like Dropbox, pause that, because you don't want something uploading while you're streaming, because that really will tank your stream. You don't want to be dropping frames because Dropbox was updating itself at that point. And that's one of the advantages. The other advantage is performance, because your system is now not doing random background stuff while you want it to be focused on streaming. Now, speaking of dropping frames, let's talk about the next thing. So something I've had to do on multiple streams, on multiple productions, be that at home, for a company, in a big office building, a large event, is at some point I've had to walk around somewhere, knocking on doors. Hi, yeah. Excuse me, sorry. Are you uploading anything at the moment? Are you uploading any files or anything? I'm dropping a load of frames on the stream, so I was just wondering if you were uploading anything, just because it affects the stream because we're all on the same connection. So if you could, thank you, walking around buildings asking that, save yourself some time, let everyone know before you stream. Hey, can you not be uploading or downloading? Because I'm going to be streaming for the next couple of hours. That would be great. Thank you very much. And like I said, pause those automatic uploads on other people's computers as well, because sometimes they don't even know they're uploading stuff, and yet they're uploading a 30 gig file while you're trying to stream. All the bandwidth in the world will not save you at that point, so make sure they pause those. Okay, one thing you can do before you go live as well, check your software. So make sure you're not muted in the software. Make sure you're not muted on your hardware controller if you're using like a mix desk or something like that. Make sure that's not muted, but make sure you're not muted in XSplit Broadcaster. Why? Because I've started loads of streams where people go, I'm sat there and this is the stream. And then I see, you're muted. And I'm like, why didn't I check that? Check that. Also, check that the audio settings in Broadcaster, your streaming software, is set correctly. Generally, default will see you right, but if you're using an audio controller and you're specifically routing everything through that, make sure the settings are set to that. Because if you don't, again, I've started streams, or I have starting soon screens, and I'm playing music, just some good DMCA-free stuff, which, by the way, check out our video on DMCA-free music. But I'm playing some music, and then I start the stream, my microphone goes up, because that's all set right, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? All right, let's get into the game. And then people tell me that there's no game sound, and I'm like, there was no music, there was no sounds from alerts, there was nothing. I didn't even know. And if I checked before I went live, I would have known. So make sure you check that as well. Finally, having a basic idea of where these problems can come from, knowing your machine is going to make a big difference. Knowing your streaming software is going to make a big difference. Knowing how your hardware works is going to make a big difference. Now, I'm not saying you need to be able to like field strip it and take it apart and put it all back together. That wouldn't hurt, don't get me wrong. And let me tell you, once you build a computer, you level up a tiny little bit. It's not something everyone can do, but I got the opportunity to do it once. You level up a tiny little bit of knowing how these things work. But knowing basic stuff like, oh, right, my microphone goes dead after a little while. I have to unplug it and plug it back in, and it seems to work. I don't know why, but it seems to. Stuff like that, you'll develop over time. Knowing that stuff will help you immeasurably. Also, when I mentioned like checking your audio settings before you go live, knowing where all those menus are in your streaming software, huge difference. Because the minute your chat says not getting game audio, you don't have to spend ages finding why that might be. You know that the first place you should probably go and look is in the settings. Make sure you've set the audio up correctly. So doing that is going to be a huge benefit. Knowing your equipment before you go live, like if you get a new camera, knowing how to do things on it, knowing how to reset it, knowing how to do all that kind of stuff. Same with your audio controller, having a basic idea of how all of it works. All of that is going to make your life way easier and way quicker. And most of the time, and this is a big tip and something it's taken me a long time to learn, read the manual of the thing you get. Because you know what I never used to do? I would never read the manual. I'd always be like, everything's plug and play. Oh, I'll figure it out. How hard can this be? I've been using computers almost all my life. Don't worry about it. You know what? If you read the manual, they do it pretty well for you, and they're going to explain everything to you. Which, speaking of which, XSplit Broadcaster, we got some good tutorials here on this channel. We got a bunch of videos coming up going to teach you a bunch of stuff. So check into that as well. You can learn a bunch of stuff on our website. Also, if you run into any problems and you are using XSplit Broadcaster and you can't answer the problem yourself, our support team are there 24/7. They're there Twitter DMs, they're there on Facebook, they're there on the website. You can email them. They're there waiting to help. So if there's a problem you can't solve, you can probably solve it there. Also got the Discord community as well. There's a bunch of people that use XSplit all the time, same as us, can answer your questions as well. So check all that stuff out if you're having problems. But honestly, a big tip is going to be knowing how to use the hardware and the software that you've got. It's going to be a game changer when you run into problems. Oh, also know how to reset your router. That's going to be huge. Like, honestly, knowing how to reset your router can be huge, because sometimes you're dropping frames, or your internet's just not working. Don't ask me why this works, but it does. Restarting your router can sometimes just fix it. Now the internet works again. Why? What was happening that meant a restart would fix it? Same with a computer, actually. Who can know? This is the kind of genius knowledge level I want to get to, where I know why that fixes it. But we'll get there in time. Knowing this stuff is going to make a big difference to your streams. Oh, one more bonus tip before we wrap this thing up. Get yourself a glass of water before you stream, or before you record content, because if you're like me, right now, you forgot to get yourself a glass of water and you're sat here with an empty glass. This is no use to me. Empty glass, no use. Get yourself a glass of water if you're going to be streaming. Make sure you stay hydrated, as that friendly bot would always remind us. Stay hydrated, it's important. In my case, it would be super useful right about now. Speaking of things that are useful right about now, if you've enjoyed this video, do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed this video, because we've got a whole bunch of videos coming out on all sorts of topics to do with streaming, content creation, working from home, productivity, all sorts of stuff coming here. So do give us a subscribe, and let me know in the comments below, what's your streaming routine? What's the kind of stuff that you do before you start streaming? What tech tips have you developed that make your stream run a little smoother? What's your checklist before you go live? Let me know in the comments below. For now, though, thank you so much for watching. I will be back very soon on this here channel. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Have a good time.